Hello and welcome to China Farm. In China's southernmost province, the tropical island Hainan, there's an unsightly but delicious kind of insect that fetches about $14 per kilogram. Traditionally, cultivating it was impossible, and people could only find it by the shore. Wang Bowen, however, had an idea. He would try to raise the insects in his ponds and make a fortune, like $1 million a year. Is he smart and brave, or just crazy? Stay tuned to find out.
As November rolls in, women wielding farm tools appear on the beaches of Guangcun town, digging for treasure. They say their valuable but evasive target is hiding about 15 centimeters beneath the surface. If you want to get them, you need to be fast. Otherwise, it will slip away.
Is there one in here? Yes, here it is. This is a sandworm. Wow, it feels very soft. So, this is a sandworm, pink and soft to the touch, and shaped like a little sausage.
Sandworms do not look very attractive, but they are a delicacy and can be sold for $14 to $17 per kilogram. Agricultural workers in Guangcun town have been catching sandworms for their own consumption since ancient times, selling any extras at markets. Since they are rare and can only be found in the wild, no fortunes have been made from their cultivation, until now. This is Wang Bowen, who is now a local hero. Why? Because he has managed to cultivate and even farm sandworms. In 2016, he made $980,000 in a single year selling them.
This sandworm looks white and tender, and there are many more sandworms underneath. Look, here's a small hole, and there too. Those are all the holes made by the sandworms. They're very dense.
Sandworms are expensive, and everyone wants to farm them on a large scale, but no one else has managed to artificially cultivate them. Until now, many people still don't know Wang Bowen's secret.
How is this done? Even when farmed by the shore, the sandworms have in the past all died. Why does it work here?
You can dig out sandworms on a mudflat, but you can only fish them out here when they're farmed. Because there is so much water in the sediment in the aquaculture pool, you cannot dig them out.
Keep going.
It's so hard to dig out the sandworms in this pond.
Right, it's not easy to catch them here because there's so much water mixed in with the sand.
Can you catch them?
No, there's too much water.
Wang Bowen's method is to drain the top layer of water in the pool, then insert a water gun like this into the sediment, flushing out the sandworms hidden underneath to then be caught with a net and rod. This way, one pair of workers can catch up to 10 kilograms of sandworms in an hour.
When the sandworms first appear, they are milky white. This one is now white, and after a while, it will turn pink. When it leaves the sand, its color changes.
Wang Bo-wen reports a yield of 100,000 kilograms of sandworms this year. If all of them are sold at the current market price, this would translate to over 1.4 million US dollars. But when customers come knocking, he doesn't always sell. What kind of business strategy is that? This trader has come to buy sandworms but couldn't get them. She was angry and argued with some of Wang Bo-wen's employees.
I went to him, but he wouldn't sell to me. I'm annoyed that I have made a pointless trip and have to go away with nothing.
Despite her best efforts, Wang Bo-wen didn't sell her a single sandworm. We were curious. Why was Wang Bo-wen so unmoved by a potential $1 million deal? Why wouldn't he sell? Was he worried his sandworms were not yet ready? He assured us that this was not the case. His sandworms are ready to be sold.
Look at these sandworms. They're beautiful and fat. They are very good quality.
Is this considered good quality?
Yes, very good quality. They are round with lots of meat and a beautiful color, and both ends are very clean.
The sandworms raised by Wang Bo-wen are all large and mature. This year's yield is high, and traders are ready to buy, but Wang Bo-wen is holding out. His employees and the villagers all wonder why. He says he knows that it may not be cost-effective to keep storing them. Since they are not yet being sold, he needs to continue looking after them. This means extra cost, not only on feed, but also the risk of their death. However, he would rather run this risk than sell. This is a year's worth of back-breaking work. 100,000 kilograms of sandworms can easily earn millions of dollars. So what is he waiting for? This creature is a Japanese shrimp. Just 5 years ago, Wang Bo-wen was still farming this type of shrimp, which alone generated revenues of 7 million US dollars per year. He was a well-known shrimp farmer in the local area. But in 2012, Wang suddenly announced that he was making a switch. He had discovered a good business opportunity that could potentially earn far more. Danzhou lies in the northwest of Hainan province, with a coastline 267 kilometers long. Beneath the sand lives a valuable species, the sandworm. A well-known specialty in Hainan province, the sandworms in Guangcun town are particularly famous. November marks the beginning of sandworm season. In Hainan, sandworms are a beloved local delicacy that everyone loves. They can be sold for 14 to 17 US dollars per kilogram. The most common cooking methods include mincing them with garlic, drying, making sandworm soup, or frying. Wang Bo-wen has cooked up his personal recipe of fried sandworms for our correspondent to taste.
What do you think?
It tastes a bit like shredded squid, but crispier, with a sweet aftertaste.
Local farmers would drop sandworm larvae on beaches around the tomb sweeping festival and only dig for them when they naturally matured, helping to protect their numbers. Wang Bo-wen, however, saw a business opportunity.
Sandworms are difficult to buy in the market, and they can't be easily found in the sea, so the price is quite high.
All the locals know that sandworms are valuable, and some have thought about artificially farming them on a large scale, but it was always too difficult. They're very sensitive to their environment. It is very hard to raise them away from the beach. Wang Bo-wen wanted to do the impossible. Many said he was mad.
Is it possible for sandworms to be farmed inland? If they could, it would earn a fortune.
In 2012, Wang Bo-wen entrusted his shrimp business to his employees and focused on studying sandworms. They needed salt water to grow. Wang Bo-wen's shrimp ponds were filled with seawater brought straight from the coast. In his first year, he bought $14,000 worth of sandworm larvae and put them into breeding ponds. Do you know where the mouth of a sandworm is? This retractable part, called the proboscis, is actually its mouth. It must rely on this mouth to get into the sand and also to eat. At first, Wang Bo-wen fed the sandworms every week. He was full of confidence, looking forward to making big money. But in November 2012, when he went down to the pond to dig out his treasure, he got quite a shock. All of the worms had died. He didn't mind so much about the money as he did about why the worms had died. He struggled to figure out how to raise them successfully. The following year, instead of giving up, Wang Bo-wen invested another $28,000 to expand the scale of his operation.
When I first started, it was a desperate battle. After releasing the larvae, I had to renovate the base. By then, the stakes were pretty high. I couldn't fail.
Wang Bo-wen became obsessed with the sandworms. He went to the ponds every day to observe them and would stay there all day, watching. He never runs out of things to say about them, despite being a normally introverted character.
Will it come out again here?
All these holes are made by sandworms. Look, all of these are.
Here is a hole. That's also a sandworm hole?
Yes, exactly.
It is a little dent.
All these.
That's definitely a sandworm hole, right?
Yes, exactly. That's very obvious. A sandworm comes out by sucking in the sand, leaving a hole. The holes look a bit like a flower, like a plum blossom. This sandworm has just moved and sucked off some of the algae here.
His studies led to a key discovery. Sandworms feed on algae and microorganisms in the sediment. This means they can only absorb nutrients from sediment, and thus they wouldn't eat any of the feed Wang Bo-wen gave them. Moreover, the feed was polluting their water. So Wang Bo-wen suddenly realized feeding sandworms wasn't viable, but still lacked a clear farming solution. At this point, his employees became disenchanted, leaving him one by one. Wang Bo-wen had a team of over 100 technicians on his shrimp farms, but his 2-year sandworm venture reduced him to a one-man army, still toiling without success. Many advised him to go back to shrimp farming, but he refused to give up.
When I decided to switch to sandworm farming, there was a lot of opposition, and some people even laughed at me. If I failed, I would not only lose money, but also respect. All my technicians for shrimp and sandworm farming had pretty much left.
Wang Bo-wen was not being blindly stubborn. He knew that sandworms were a valuable commodity, and large-scale farming was only a technological gap away. Success would mean great wealth. In 2015, Wang Bowen successfully transformed ordinary seawater into nutrient-rich fertilizer by cultivating algae. At the end of the year, he nervously dug up the sand. What he saw made him euphoric. Living, large, fat sandworms.
Try and catch one. They're sold for about 27 cents each. Catching them is like fishing for money.
For preservation, the newly caught sandworms are wrapped in a layer of dry sand.
The dry sand gives the sandworms some air. It allows them to have a high survival rate after they leave the water in the ponds and are transported. Kept at the same temperature, with a little sand, they can be preserved for about a week.
Like this, they can be kept just like this for a week.
They will stay alive for a full week.
In 2015, Wang Bowen harvested nearly 10,000 kilograms of sandworms and sold them locally, before making the bold decision to shut down his shrimp farming business and transform his 20 hectares of shrimp ponds into sandworm breeding pools. In 2016, he raised 50,000 kilograms of sandworms and sold them for $980,000. In 2017, Wang Bowen aimed to produce 100,000 kilograms, meaning a sales revenue of over $1.4 million if he sold them all. So, now we're here, why isn't he selling? Three days after our team's arrival, Wang Bowen said that he was organizing an event. He invited tourists to his farm to experience sandworm digging. These tourists are actually locals from the nearby city of Danzhou. The event is a hit with the kids. There is a lot of water in the pool, and the sand is soft. It's difficult to get out if you get stuck.
I've brought my little one here to have a first-hand experience. That's all good fun. A nice way to play around together. It's really a lot of fun.
Are you having a nice time?
Yes, this is fun.
After the tourists have experienced digging for sandworms, Wang Bowen personally cooks and prepares some sandworm dishes.
Have you ever had this before?
No.
Never. Have you eaten sandworms before?
Yes, I have.
How did you have them?
They were cooked in boiling water. But these are better.
Is this different from what you ate?
The taste is different.
You like it?
It's yummy.
What's the difference from what you ate before?
This is crispier.
As our correspondent observed, none of the tourists paid for sandworms at any point. Clearly, Wang Bowen lost money here. So what was his reasoning?
I just wanted to invite them to come and experience catching the sandworms and taste how delicious they are when they're fried. So they're here to share the experience.
Sharing this experience means more people will know about Wang Bowen's delicious product. Perhaps they will spread the news. In this way, his tourists help his business. 5 days into filming, we found that Wang Bowen had workers catching sandworms early in the morning. Then they go through a treatment process.
After washing the surface of the sandworm, you need to take out its insides.
This is how you do it. Turn it inside out.
The inside stuff is removed.
Then they look like this after, right?
Yes.
This is what it looks like after.
Yes, exactly.
So it's empty inside now?
There's probably still some water or seawater in it.
But it's just this layer of skin, yes?
Just the skin.
So when we eat sandworms, we actually eat the outer skin?
Yes, exactly.
The workers wash and pat dry the sandworms they have dug up and then take them to the dryer. This process turns them into a golden colour. They can then be stored for 6 months and are much more convenient to prepare. 1 kilogram of sandworms can usually be sold for over $280. Finally, we thought we had found the secret to Wang Bo-wen's wealth. But he says he only dries 30% of his sandworms. What about the other 70%? At the Spring Festival in Hainan, a sandworm dish is a must-have. One local saying goes, no dinner can be prepared without sandworms. So, around the Spring Festival, demand skyrockets.
We see a lot of demand during the Spring Festival. Whether it's 200, 300 or even 500 kilograms, I'll have it ready.
So it's exclusive to the Spring Festival, right?
Yes, it's only during the Spring Festival.
If someone wanted 500 kilograms right now, could you do it?
No. I could only sell about 50 kilograms right now.
The real reason Wang Bo-wen won't sell his sandworms is the current market price. Right now, they fetch $17 per kilogram at most. But during the Spring Festival, they fetch up to $22 per kilogram. With his 100,000 kilograms of sandworms, holding out would mean he could earn an additional $560,000. He can wait.
We're in no hurry to sell now. If we dig all of them out now, the supply will exceed the demand, and that will affect the market price.
As Wang Bo-wen told the correspondent, patience is a virtue. This is his secret. Wang Bo-wen is now working hard at promoting his product and producing his dried sandworms, in anticipation of a sales peak before the Spring Festival. Just 2 years ago, the whole city of Danzhou produced only 10,000 kilograms of sandworms per year. Now, with his farming techniques, Wang Bo-wen alone can produce 100,000 kilograms annually. The success of Wang Bo-wen's sandworm farming has shown the local government the prospects of the industry. Their next step is to make sandworm farming a major industry, allowing more people to follow in his footsteps.
Even this quantity cannot meet the entirety of local demand. We need to aim for an annual production of 1 million kilograms. By following Mr. Wang's example and using his influence. We're also aiming for markets outside Hainan Island.
Many people rush to make money in business, forgetting that patience is sometimes necessary. Timing is often crucial to achieving the best possible outcome. That's it for this edition of China Farm. See you next time.